not nail it.
Assumes no responsibility for its content, and the Wade and Carter Show bears all responsibilities for their opinions and
Cowboys win. R. Kelly loses. All that more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
That was good. That was good right there. Yeah. What's the weather? What else can you do for me? Where's applause?
I don't know. See what happens when you start touching stuff you shouldn't be touching.
Just quality radio right there, people.
There.
Quality radio. Anticipation. It's good for y'all to wait. Just wait for the Wade and Carter. That's what Bill Posey calls us, the Wade and Carter. He's got the Bill Posey show, comes on right before us. He just calls it the Bill Posey. It's not a show. It's the Bill
not
Posey.
A show. It's just the Bill Posey.
Just the Bill Posey. Let me
Let's
just handle this.
Okay, you go do that.
Yeah, I got it. I know you're busy. Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at Deerland Feed. It's 76 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of 93. I've got
slight chance of rain.
Yeah, ever so slightly. I literally have Kentucky bluegrass. I looked out the other day, thought I saw the ghost of Secretariat grazing on my lawn. My neighbors have come by and said, "What did you do this?" They thought I sprayed it with like a color. It's the 21-714 Victoria, Texas blend that I bought at Deerland Feed. Only about $900 a bag.
Not even.
Not really. I'm kidding. It's it's reasonable.
I could see you though, if you're so you're so vain when it comes to your yard. I could see you spraying it with green paint.
Right?
If it was yellow,
which leads right into you walked into the party like you were walking onto a yacht. Friday, October the 8th. The Rock the Yacht Party, Rock the Yacht, come out with Wade and Carter.
Since there's no Boot Fest, it's Boat Fest.
Oh, Boat Fest VIP. That's our new domain name that we haven't put
There's nothing there yet. No.
But we own it. That's right. The Wade and Carter Radio Empire gobbling up. You can hear us on Facebook, YouTube, Magic 95.9. I don't know. Where else? The Magic 95.9 app.
Magic95victoria.com. We're all over the place.
Everywhere. So,
everywhere you want to be.
Can't avoid us. Can't avoid us. Can't avoid the Dallas Cowboys rumbling, stumbling, bumbling through the NFC East. You had some nice observations this morning. Beating teams they ought to beat.
And trouncing teams they ought to trounce.
Yeah, the Eagles are not a very good football club.
You know, had a shot against Tampa Bay. Needed a 56-yarder to win last week. So, I mean, the Cowboys are better. I still contend that when you've got that many rookies, young guys playing defense, it's not going to hold up all season.
I agree. Rookies get you beat. Cowboys have 6 defensive rookies, not necessarily all starting, but 6 rookies for the defensive side of the ball.
And my prediction was also based on the fact that I was not 100% sure that Dak Prescott would be healthy, will stay healthy, and be as effective as he has been. Boy, he's looked good.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm still leaning really strongly towards a 9-8 season. I just can't yet lean to 10-7. I can't. But that's because I have put some weight on the idea that either Dak or the defense has some setbacks. Now, if they don't, if Connor Williams learns how not to jump off sides, the University of Texas product looks about like he did at Texas. Kind of small, kind of fat, kind of jumping off sides at the wrong time. That's kind of Connor Williams. Everybody was surprised that the Cowboys drafted him, and then everybody was really surprised that he became a starter at left guard. But if he makes all of his blocks and Dak doesn't get hurt, and if this defense continues to perform as good as Dan Quinn is coaching them, this Cowboys team could win a lot of games. They really could. I'll throw in that either Dan Quinn very possibly may make the move to head coach of the Cowboys next year. McCarthy might decide to hang it up.
I don't think McCarthy's hanging it up.
Okay, maybe not. But Quinn then might leave and be a head coach somewhere. Or Kellen Moore might leave and be a head coach somewhere because his offensive prowess is second maybe only to
Kingsbury
in Arizona.
I think you're talking a little crazy talk.
Okay.
We're only 3 games in.
So I'm not that big a Cowboys homer, but I'm a Cowboys coach's homer.
Yes.
Couple of quick notes. The other day, Aaron Rodgers gets the ball back with 37 seconds left and down by 1 and gets the Packers into field goal range where they win by 2.
Also, in a game that early on they should have put San Francisco away.
The Los Angeles Chargers went ahead and beat Tampa Bay. Tom Brady looked 44 years old. There were times that he looked like Bernie Kosar back there scrambling. An interesting stat that I shared with Ash, that moves the Kansas City Chiefs and their loss to 1-2. As crazy as stats can be, of teams that start the season 2-1, so if you're a 1-1 team, the third game means everything.
Chargers beat the Chiefs. Rams beat the Bucks.
If you are, did I have that wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, but that's okay. Just
I was on a roll.
Factual here.
Right. The fact check shows that I'm wrong about as often as Donald Trump. The teams that go 2-1, 54% of those teams make the playoffs. Teams that start off 1-2, only 25% of them make the playoffs. Very interesting number. I mean, it's only 3 games.
Yeah.
Half.
I wonder how those stats hold up in a 17-game season now.
I don't know. See, we'll have to find out. It's like you said, it's telling. It just may not be as telling as they think it is.
Because, I mean, I would think a lot of those 1-2 teams probably end up 3-13, 4-12, 5-11, 6-10. They're not in the playoffs anyway. They're that bad.
Exactly. There's a objective comment when somebody starts off with "I can't stand the Cowboys," but Alex Alvarez says they have the best wide receivers or the best receivers in the league this year.
There's Jay Dub.
Good morning. The Schultz kid last night at tight end had about 80 yards receiving. Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb both looking really sharp. I think the best receiver of the night was the Diggs kid in the secondary. The secondary had a nice pick 6.
Terrible throw by Hurts. Even if the receiver doesn't fall, he's not getting back to stop Diggs from taking that one to the house. It was so poorly underthrown.
Yeah, Zeke Elliott runs for 95 yards and 17 carries.
Amazing what
Pollard had another 60 yards. So 155 yards out of the running back position is a good night. And Dak was 21 of 26 with 3 TDs.
Yeah,
no interceptions.
200 and something.
283.
Didn't break 300, but still,
good stuff.
Good day.
Good day for him.
Yeah. Christina Weiss says Cowboys could use another kicker. Herlon hits a 56-yarder to win it. That's chump change.
But he also, wow.
Yeah, but
missed an extra point yesterday. Of course, the ball was leaning. It was not held well.
Yeah, no.
Did
Chris Carter says 60% of the time it works 100% of the time.
Exactly.
And my Cowboys beat J-Dub's Eagles, so there we go. First time since 2008 they've played on Monday night. Did you know that? It's been that long.
They also have one of the longest rivalries in football, which is amazing when you consider the Cowboys were an expansion team in 1960 and have been around, relatively speaking, compared to the Eagles, compared to the Redskins and the Giants, the New York Football Giants,
Washington Football.
They haven't been around that long. Did I say Redskins? I did not mean that with any disrespect.
Trying to find. I know we didn't get to this, but I'll get to it here. We'll find it. The list of names potentially
for the Washington football team. Let's see if any of them sound. How about the Washington drive-bys?
It would be fitting,
right?
Keep stalling.
The Washington budget deficits. The Washington
debt ceiling lifters.
The Washington lifters. That could be good. Still searching, huh?
No, I found it. Now I got to get to the actual names.
Folks, just bear with us here. This is live radio.
This is live radio.
J Dub, hope you're doing good. Hope Giancarlo is doing well, sir. Would like an update on him.
Down to 8 possibilities, and here they are.
Okay, here we go.
The Armada.
No.
Dumb.
Stupid.
Sounds like a big Nissan SUV.
Right. Yeah, Nissan Field. I like it.
The Washington Presidents.
Stupid. Too cliche. Too easy.
The Washington Brigade.
Not bad. Kind of harkens back to George Washington.
The Washington Red Hawks.
No, that's too much like the Redskins. And if it can't be red people, then why are we discriminating against birds?
The Washington Commanders.
Nah.
There's nothing been commanding about the Washington football team since Joe Gibbs was their coach.
Brigade's still the best so far.
The Washington Red Wolves.
Stupid. Why's it got to be red?
Arkansas State will have a problem with that.
I don't like that at all.
The Washington Defenders. They haven't defended anything.
No.
Certainly not the Constitution. Certainly not
I'll
yours
take
and my
Brigade.
rights.
I'll take Brigade still.
And just the good old Washington football team.
I have no problem with that. I think it sounds kind of cool.
It's different.
I mean, they still, if you listen, even in New York, they're called the New York Football Giants. I guess that's because there used to be the New York baseball.
They're the Giants in baseball. Yeah. So to differentiate, back on the radio days when it was theater of the mind, right?
Right.
Yeah, because they could both be playing on a Sunday afternoon.
Could be.
They wouldn't both be playing at the Polo Grounds.
Somebody be on the road.
Yeah. Or somebody might be playing at night under the lights. I don't know.
Nah, at that time there probably were no lights, right?
Probably not. Jan Eager, good morning. Joe Mitchell says Cowboys. There's my mom. Good morning, Mom.
Hi, Tina.
Tracy Price is in. H.R. Mallory, good morning. Amanda King. Ricky King, Kendra Douglas, Jared Glass, Tom Price, Chris Ray Brissett, Clint Ives, Robin Moore Knipling, Matt Boucher, Roy Gutierrez, Diana Hawes, Natalie Mayer, Lisa Poole, Karen Webb, good morning.
Got to see Roy.
Judge Posey checking in.
Hi, Judge.
Rena Scherer, good morning. Bobby Leister, Leisterometer holding steady to 1,003. There's Justin Glass checking in. Robert Brown Jr., Bobcat Watley.
What a group.
David Glass, Marvin Mickish, Patrick Strauss. Good morning, everybody. Glad you're all here. Matt Boucher's in, and I got a question for Matt. It kind of goes into the issues that have kind of been brought to light of late, although I think you and I talked about it a little bit last week with well, no, you weren't here. Me and Caleb, I think, talked about it.
Okay. I was trying to think of what issues in light. Go ahead.
You were too busy trying to figure out whether it was red wine or white wine that you preferred. Or the Pinot Grigio.
Right.
I can't do that without sounding like Snagglepuss. Exit stage left even.
I think Dawn got tired of me calling her Lovey the whole time we were in Napa Valley. Lovey, bring me some more of that brie.
Heavens to Murgatroyd.
Some grapes.
But
use the word palate. I had to clean my palate. What'd you use? Brisket?
Marty Stockbar's in. Bobby Sparkman.
What a crew. Hello, Sheriff Louderback.
Alex Alvarez, or where did that go? Says, why would we discriminate against birds? LOL, I spit my drink out.
I'm sorry. Well, the Red Hawks.
BJ Nelson, Commanders, not Commandos, I think. Wasn't it Commanders?
Right, Commanders.
Yeah. Although I like Commandos. I'd take that one.
Although the way they play, maybe if they went Commando, they would play better.
There's some good names rolling in here.
Crazy. The Washington Numbnuts.
Yeah.
That's Canadian.
The Washington Do-Nothings.
Tell you what. And by the way, whatever happened
The Washington Inepts.
Whatever happened to RG3? Did he just retire?
Yeah, I don't know.
RG3, Robert Griffin III, great Baylor Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. But I mean, he's not like on those Heisman commercials with Nissan. He's not like that. He's a brilliant young man too. He's got a law degree. I mean, he's not just some.
And he was doing good things in Washington until he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then I think he went to Minnesota and didn't do anything there.
Right. He was never an NFL quarterback.
Morning, Sheriff Louderback. Marty Stockbauer's in. But where was I going? I know where I was going with this.
Matt Boucher and some issues
Yeah,
last
a
week.
lot of ships stacked up offshore, especially in LA. Some off the East Coast, but and it could be a myriad of reasons as to why. I don't know them all. I'm sure politics plays one role, but hearing that there is a shortage of truckers now.
And why would that be?
They're getting
staying
paid
home,
enough to stay
stimulus
home.
checks? Come on.
Yeah, I
Truckers.
don't know. But apparently that's one reason why these containers are stacking up. They're stacking them deep, not selling them cheap because they can't move them. And I've heard like Savannah, somebody was saying Savannah, Georgia, like 11-day backlog of containers.
Dawn pointed out the other day that to the West Coast, I think maybe it's Long Beach and
There's been
Oakland.
ships sitting offshore
Yeah.
for like a couple of months out there.
Yeah, just sitting there. When we were out there, you looked out and saw, I think we counted 6 tanker ships just floating, all right, at anchor, if you will, in the Oakland Bay, just sitting there, full of oil.
So you were
Just
there.
sitting
Why are we shipping in oil?
And
Oh yeah, because we can't drill for it
you're
anymore.
going to ask Matt Boucher about that?
Well, because then I heard something this morning that is raising concerns amongst farmers that seeds may not be available, not so much for this year, but going forward if this is a problem. But doesn't it just, to me, the easy solution is let's start bringing this manufacturing back home,
So is
or to Mexico where it doesn't have to go on a ship.
who benefits from that? China, if we don't have a food supply?
I'm sure I don't know, but most of this stuff sitting on these ships in these containers, probably from China, right?
Yeah, I would believe so. We saw an Evergreen, cargo carrier. It's just a big flat barge, and they put a whole bunch of those.
Ricky King says price of freight's not going up to match the price of fuel, but we got a lot of trains that can still do the job. They've been doing it, I guess. I don't know.
When those ships come over and they have those big, 28 foot or whatever they are, 8 foot tall and 30 foot long cargo boxes. Serious question. Is there an acceptable number of those that are allowed to fall over? I mean, you have to figure that when they get into tough seas, those things are stacked like 10 units tall. They're bound to lose
a few, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, does that crate float? Does it sink to the bottom of the ocean immediately? Is it watertight? I don't know.
They're watertight, I think.
People
dig holes and put them in the ground as pools.
Then they'd have to float.
Joe Mitchell says they have his golf grips and shafts on those ships.
Right?
Well, that's maybe after you weld the doors shut, they become watertight. I don't know. I'll tell you who does know.
Who?
VCS Rocket Oilfield Services, the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer. They know everything communications.
Absolutely. Whether you need surveillance, surround sound, fire suppression, fire extinguisher work, if it communicates ranch radio, telephone, the new iPhone 13. Craziness, 13. I figured they'd skip right to 14. Who wants an unlucky iPhone? The VCS companies have it all. We have somebody just walked in.
That might be our guest.
Probably OSHA. Oh, that's nice. That's Mr. Responsible. Folks, Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen's your go-to tow-to. If you have a problem with your vehicle not getting you where you need to be, you reach out to Allen's Wrecker Service. Chesley Furniture since 20? Yeah. Since 1920.
Yeah.
Victoria's furniture leader. If you need a new best recliner, if you need a sofa, if you need a love seat, furniture, bedding, Tempur-Pedic bedding,
accoutrement,
they've got all the French accessories down there. Maybe not a bidet, but if you gave Bobby a heads up, he'd find you one. Bobby Lee and his family.
Or maybe the footrest to go in front of it, the squatty potty.
116 West One Land, the squatty potty. There you go.
I think that was on Shark Tank.
Beer Cruise today at lunch, noon. I'll be there.
Pre-call on Wednesday.
Come by and say hi at noon. They love it when people just stop by to say hi. In fact, if you're a waiting car, just come in, say hi, and leave. Just don't need to stay for lunch. Veracruz at lunch. There's not enough seats for you to stay, but you can come by and say hi.
Not if you get there about 12:15.
Absolutely. Then AJ's detailing. Reach out to my buddy AJ Villanueva and get him to detail your car. We're gonna do some before and after pics of Ash's truck, and you're just not gonna believe it.
No, I'm not going to believe it.
The second day he drives it back into the 2.4, it'll look
Like it did the
identical.
first day.
Yeah,
No.
unbelievable. So we've got a rowdy crowd this morning.
Yeah.
We've got a rowdy guest who will get in. Look, he's up. I mean, he's
ready to go.
He's like up. And you're gonna go do the.
I am.
Yeah, you're gonna go do the video, and he likes to.
I like how he came in and waved just to you.
Yeah, he
Did
did.
you notice that?
He just waved. Well, we're close, me and Jeff. We're close. We're very excited to, as always, to be joined by our Mayor Jeff Bucknight.
Good morning.
Hello, sir.
How are y'all?
We're good. We're gonna let Ash get back in here. He's got all the tough questions.
How
for
are you,
today.
sir?
I'm doing well.
You know, when I see you in a profile like that, and this is purely a compliment, you favor your father quite a bit.
It's the receding hairline, isn't it?
No, see, it's while
I thought it
self
was more the gray, but
while self-deprecating humor is the best humor. Like they say, sarcasm is the easiest, the weakest form of humor, but it's so easy, you know. That's pretty good. Ash and I try not to take ourselves too seriously either. So
I think puns is probably the easiest.
you think puns are easy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Eye rolling humor.
Right. Look,
Dad
you've
jokes.
got notes. You've got an agenda. You've got.
Well, I brought this copy for y'all. It's just budget highlights for the city for this next year. Fiscal year starts on October 1st.
Was that produced by the Jesus Garza printing company?
Yes, the city of Victoria produced this the second year in a row.
It's
So
very
a great
nice.
visual for understanding the budget. 'Cause most people think, that
Money grows on trees?
Yeah. But $171 million budget overall, which is pretty healthy. Now, most of that's made up of enterprise funds. And for those people that haven't heard of enterprise funds, those are the ones that we have that are treated strictly as a business. So your water fund, it has to sustain itself. And so it's not really a tax. You're paying for a service.
It's almost like a co-op.
Yeah.
You kind of take the amount that it costs to purify the water and then you just spread that out over the people that use it
Correct.
based on their usage.
Correct.
It's essentially a consumption tax. Essentially.
No, it's for services.
He's being technical now.
It's for services rendered. So the budget that most people think of is the general fund. And the general fund this year is $59.7 million. Now, of that, we got to pay for it somehow. And so 34% of it is paid for with property tax. 33% is sales tax, and the rest has some different income streams that get paid for, like franchise tax. Now, we've talked about franchise tax here as it relates to commercial waste pickup.
Mm-hmm.
And that franchise tax, all our franchises taxed together, come up with 11% of the budget on the income.
So you're looking at a city right here, folks. It takes about $3.5 million a week to run, and about $1 million a week of that goes into the general fund.
No, it's 59.7 million, and there's 52 weeks in a year.
Más o
Plus,
menos.
simple math is just
One
over
point.
a million a day.
Okay.
A million a week.
A little over $1 million a week. Yeah, we're good. We're
But if
good.
you're looking at the 171, then yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
So $3 million a week to run the city. That's a lot. 3.5. That's a lot.
Now, of the expenses, public safety makes up 30.67 million. So property taxes don't even cover police and fire department. It's
Right.
something to think about when we're all complaining, and I do my fair share complaining about my property tax, but it doesn't even pay for police and fire. So while we all think that we're over appraised and overtaxed, and I couldn't disagree more. We do have expenses that it goes to and gets spent well.
What do we do?
Adam Sugar says Taco Bueno and Arby's are going to be Victoria's new sugar daddies.
They're going to save us. What do we do? We've had this conversation with Judge Ben Zeller about how, he's on the CAD board, but he doesn't really control the CAD. Nobody really knows who runs the CAD. And they're just kind of there. Do we agree? Can we start with the premise that, if not the majority, a vast amount of commercial property in this community is not properly appraised. I'm not saying it should be higher. Maybe it needs to be lower, but that there's very little rhyme and reason in the comp world among commercial property. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. I sit on that board, and I've been nothing but frustrated since being on that board. When you see a commercial property double in value, and I'm talking $3 to $6 million from year to year, number one, it tells me that the CAD's not doing their job. There's not been anything in Victoria over the past year aside from a pandemic, and I don't think that leads to higher real estate prices necessarily.
Agree. If anything, it would lower them because there's less utility there.
You think so? But I think that the CAD uses what's referred to as the income method when appraising some of these buildings, which I don't agree with. So you take
because I've become more productive at a facility that I haven't done anything to that raises the value of that property. That's BS.
Right. So if it's rented out, say like Pier 1, when it was Pier 1, had more of a tax appraised value than now where it sits empty because there's no income coming in. And I've made the argument that, well, if I lost my job and I don't have the income anymore, you're not going to lower my residential property value.
Right.
So
whoever owns that building ought to still pay taxes
So
on it.
generically, let's look at it a different way and look at, appraising it as a building and a structure. Because that's why so many buildings can sit vacant forever because they're not paying much in property taxes. It doesn't hurt to leave it empty.
Sure. Well,
interestingly enough, the Sears home store was going to go into that place, and now I think it's going back to the old Sears service depot behind Victoria Mall.
Yes.
Which is a much worse location. Exactly.
Probably cheaper, but it almost makes sense because people will remember Sears being in that building. The majority.
But we have a sponsor here on the show who's leaving a location on North Navarro because the building appraisal that he's in went up over $2 million, and the landlord said, "Hey, I've just got to pass that tax on to you guys,"
Right.
and the rent went up a lot. He said, I've got a lease coming up. I'm not going to renew it."
I think people can understand some small creep in appraised value year over year, and you can deal with that as a building owner and tenants and know what you're going to do. But I find it very difficult. How are you going to sign a 10-year lease with someone, and that person's going to be all right with some escalation clause in there based on property tax, and it doubles?
Right. It's terrible.
That's exactly what you're talking about.
The sore thumb in the room for us, the symbol, if you will, has always been that old federal building that's kind of catty corner at the corner of Constitution and William, right there where across from 205, you know what I'm talking about? So that building was on the books for like $88,000. I'm like, the roof would cost $250,000.
Those pillars are worth more than $88,000.
Yeah, and I'm just like, how can this? So when you look at it that way, when the CAD has it that wrong, this is not a city of Victoria problem. It's just the reality of real estate. When you're that wrong and it's $88,000 at 2%, it costs the guy $2,000 a year or whatever to just let it sit there. If you get that thing on the books for the $3 million it's worth as it sits, now all of a sudden he's paying $25,000-$30,000 a year in taxes. He's going to find a way to either rent it, renovate it, or sell it.
Right.
Because it's costing him $2,000 a month instead of $2,000 a year. That's how you drive economic redevelopment. You want to revitalize downtown. Go down there and find the 4 or 5 people, then own all the property down there and get their taxes right.
Yes. By the way, did you see the downtown master plan? Any of the preliminary stuff that's coming out?
Ash is in charge.
BJ Nelson says the income you generate from a business should have nothing to do with the value of your real estate.
I agree 100%.
They're not related.
Absolutely. And I don't believe the county ought to come in at the end of the year and tax your inventory either. I don't think that's right. Well, you're a business owner. People forget that. You're not just like some Politico getting by on your $300 a month as mayor.
Well, and if that inventory isn't something you're reselling, you've already paid tax on it once. Now you're paying tax on it again.
Not even that. Think about it. I have, what's considered a construction company. I have vehicles that the guys have to go out in every year, have to pay tax on them.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like it stymies. Like you have to decide as a business owner, can I add a position and add a vehicle? Given that this guy puts me over the limit, I've got to get benefits for everybody, and now I got to pay taxes on the truck too.
Yep.
BJ also had a question. Commercial trash franchise fee goes into the general fund, or does it have an earmark for something intentional?
Goes into the general fund.
Okay, good.
Graft and corruption.
I've heard some bad things that people don't like, that those fast food restaurants are coming to Del Norte.
You busted me about that. What are you talking about?
And I'm surprised with.
It's not that we don't like them. It's just I don't think it's indicative of a
Healthy community.
in a city that's growing the right way.
Yeah, see, I think it's just terrible that is the highest and best use of that beautiful location.
I don't have a problem. If that's what somebody,
You're speaking against free enterprise.
I agree.
If someone wants to go invest their money in doing that project and putting those restaurants in there, and they think that's the best way that they can make money.
Well, yeah.
You can't fault them for going in and doing that.
But
That's what I've always said. These businesses that, why can't we have a Cracker Barrel? Because Cracker Barrel won't work here. We don't have an interstate rolling through town. But these businesses come here because these are the businesses that will make money here. That's the reflection of this city more so than anything else.
It's their choice, and it's
Yes, no, I agree.
They may shut down after a year.
We agree, and that looks good for our city. But we agree that absolutely agree with you. But the bigger point, looking down on the situation, is, I mean, why not Maximus North with a mattress store next to it and a check cashing place next to that? No, we're going to have a donut place and a fat ass taqueria and McAllister's Deli. And what else is there? It's embarrassing. It's like you've got 7 acres in the middle of the primo property. Does good quality local or arts and crafts or any type of retail go in there? Nah, just put in a Taco Bueno. Like really, Mayor. Now, I know that's not your fault, and I agree it's free enterprise, but it's just like, it's tragic.
Torrin Bale says he loves Dunkin' Donuts.
No, he just loves Dunkin'. He's a coffee guy. It is tragic, though, that's what Victoria wants.
Well, that's what the developer has sold the project as to the people that are putting in the pad sites. Well, and that's what the deal he was able to put together. Maybe, a big box retail that could have gone in the back or something else, it didn't work.
Maybe with your leadership, your example, your commitment to get fit Victoria, the way that you're constantly walking, working out, swimming, oh wait, that's your wife. The things that you do to bring a healthy atmosphere to our community, maybe that'll help.
Well,
Scott Tom
didn't incentivize the project at all.
And I think that's a beautiful point.
Scott Tomko says, hey, at least it's not another vape shop.
Well, hey, we could have an IHOP and sell tickets to the fights.
That's right.
I will say that is a very good point for the community to know that of that 7 acres, it flipped hands a couple of times, or it almost flipped hands, and then did whatever the situation was. The city did not incentivize. There were no abatements. Nobody, your tax dollars are not supporting that.
Torrin Bale says it'll bring in sales tax and property tax.
It sure could. We're just having fun, Torrin. Torrin's get worked up because
And from the city's perspective, we always like those infill projects because the utilities are already right there. The street's already there. We're not having to invest anything for that property to be redeveloped.
Right. No, it's a big piece of property too.
And remember, the city owned it for years.
Yeah.
And it was not on the tax rolls.
Exactly.
It's
So there's that. I'm just worried about when the next hurricane rolls through. Where am I going to be able to take my trash?
Right. That's where we used to drop it off. There'll be a dumpster out back. You can take it there.
Yeah,
what else is happening?
I'm touched on the downtown master plan. It's just getting finalized right now. It has some very exciting renderings in it. It talks about also, when the plan comes out, on how to pay for things, what's important, what's low-hanging fruit. One of the renderings, you can see some nice lighting strung across Main Street to create more of an ambiance in the evening. We're discussing TERS, which is a tax increment reinvestment zone. And
how does that work? That's a question a lot of people have asked me, and I'm like, I don't know. We're going to get the mayor on, and he can answer those questions.
So it's not an additional tax. What you do is, if we decide to go forward with it, I'll tell you all the things we have to consider. But we would likely freeze the property tax value for a defined zone within downtown to the rates that they are right now. So whatever the appraised rate came out in 21.
Which means if it's just a shell of a building and it's on the tax rolls for $200,000, you could go put money into that building, fix it up, and you don't get taxed on the increase in value for a while.
No. That's
No.
not it.
Okay, good.
So,
That would be a great idea.
so if you think about downtown, and there's some rules about how to draw it, and it'd be like $70 million worth of taxable appraised value. And you fix that. And then any incremental increase in that appraised value, whether it's just through natural creep or someone goes and redoes something or someone puts in a new building, all that increase above $70 million, when it gets taxed, that tax that's collected on that incremental increase can only be spent within that boundary. So it can't go into the general fund. It has to go to projects within that boundary.
So I go down and I've got a shell of a building and it's $200,000 on the books, and I put in a $300,000 kitchen and I bring in a new restaurant, and all of a sudden you decide that's worth $1 million. The taxes on the $800,000 increase, while they might be at the same rate as the 200, that tax might go to putting down brick pavers or expanding De Leon Plaza or whatever's inside the TERS zone.
Right.
I don't.
And the 200,000 the tax generated from the 200,000 still goes into the general fund, right?
Yes.
And I don't think at the knee jerk, given that, and I know how conservative you are, and if I had to guess, I would say this is something that people are trying to sell to you. It's probably not an idea that you just came up with on your own. My thought would be that you might be a hard sell on this because, like, well, gee, we're creating a false market here. But if we're going to do it, I think downtown Victoria is the right place to do it. I kind of like it because it's not additional tax and encourages investment.
It's exciting when you first talk about it, but then you start thinking through some of the things. What money are we talking about? Like, what are we projecting? I know you're going to have to make assumptions to see what it's going to grow to over a 25-year period, how much income it would really generate.
Is it only property taxes? What about sales taxes in that area?
It's only property, but the other taxing entities are able to join in, whether it's the county, navigation district, Victoria College, they can all join in on that same program.
Well, there's where the city gets their money, because if I'm encouraged to do that, because my investment in downtown Victoria is going to fuel betterment of downtown Victoria, then when somebody comes in, like in the soiree where Torrin Bales has a restaurant coming in, when that restaurant gets open, the sales taxes off that still go back into the general fund.
Correct.
So, okay, I think
Not
that's
the sales tax, the property tax.
yeah, but the sales tax generated off that isn't part of the TERS. That's just part of the economy.
But
What if somebody like what's the mall across from where I am now? Airline in Lorette.
Oh, the old Victoria, the old Town Plaza Mall. Yeah,
the one across the street from the old Town Plaza Mall.
Yeah, like where
Town and Country.
where
Thank you,
Melvin's
yes.
used to be when we were kids.
Town and Country.
What
if they wanted a TERS zone? Could they do it there too?
you'd have to look at it and see if it makes sense or not. There's some.
I mean, are we going to get to a point where everybody's going to want their own TERS zone?
It makes sense, because I started asking the same thing, and then the issues that come about is, we have a projected debt capacity coming up in the next few years. It's really healthy because we've been working hard to pay off bonds early, and we're going to have that to spend on infrastructure. What's the impact of that if we take off this incremental tax increase? I don't know. And that's one of the questions we have. And then what happens if a project comes around and says, oh, okay, we got to redo utilities in downtown that's within the TERS? Is it just the TERS's responsibility, or what portions paid from the general fund versus the TERS?
Right.
And so.
Yeah, because was the TERS responsible for now outdated infrastructure because you had a boom in development?
And so will that money be even enough to cover some of that stuff, or is it going to have to still be in the general fund? And are people going to be upset? Will they have their own increment reinvestment zone? Why aren't they paying for it? Why are the rest of us paying for it? And we're trying to work through all those issues and questions.
Good problems to have, though, right? I mean, both problems are the result of economic growth.
Well, it's another tool for economic development growth and funding it. And we're just trying to make sure we fully understand.
Did you hear anything exciting yesterday at the sales tax meeting?
Exciting.
Anything new? Anything?
We are on the goal line for a number of companies.
Sound like Dale Fowler. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Can't tell you about it yet, but it's going to be great.
Well, we are on the goal line, and I know for certain we are. Most of them are at the port, which is fine because I think anything at the port or in the county benefits all of us.
Yeah.
Well, I think if people started, and Brent kind of opened my eyes to this concept. I mean, think about it. Port Lavaca is in relation to Victoria, where the Port of Houston is to Houston, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's 30 miles away. If we were starting to think a little bit larger from a regional perspective, growth there would benefit us. And I agree with you. I think the Port of Victoria, if we can get stuff at the port, people are going to have to live somewhere.
When you look at like our buddy Sheriff Louderback and the Texas Regional Sheriff's Alliance and what they've been able to accomplish and the national attention they've garnered by having like 16 or 12 or 16 of these sheriffs that are all working together, can you imagine if we took, and I know it's unspoken, and you may have a better way to say this, but it's almost like there's a subtle competition between the counties where it's not that we somehow think we're better than Calhoun County or vice versa. It's like there's a lack of natural cooperation between the two because we don't want to do anything that makes you more attractive than us. What if you had Jackson, Victoria, Calhoun, and you could create to the nation, Texas is big. Look at our economic development region to where we can say we feature a 2-mile runway. We feature a deep water port. We feature over 15,000 plant jobs. We've got the largest utility in the area, blah, blah, blah. What if you could promote the region?
I think we're working towards that. With the turnover in VDC, we have to get our house in order first.
Right.
And hopefully by the end of the year, we're going to be at full strength, which is 4 employees at VDC. They have 2 right now. And we can start, yeah, sure, apply.
We can do it.
But we have to get our house in order to make sure we're running on all cylinders before we start approaching other counties. And
right.
I see the benefit of it. I talk about it often in the meeting of the deep water ports just there in Calhoun. And I bet you our airport's closer than Houston's, and it'll take you way less time to get to the airport in Victoria.
Right.
And we have the ability to do a whole bunch of coordination between that. And from my perspective, we have to get past, like you said, that there's a huge competition. When you look at Houston and the size of it, or Dallas, Fort Worth, or now it's Austin, San Antonio, pretty much.
Right.
I mean, if you
that's
can,
what we're competing against as far as a region.
Yeah.
They're already regionalized.
See, San Antonio they've got a river walk, but they don't have a deep water port. Neither does Austin.
They don't have shallow water port either.
That's right. They don't
And
have
They have both.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's only a couple places in the country that have both shallow water and deep water.
and you look at the problems that are happening on the East Coast and West Coast and even New Orleans with these shipping, with these ships just sitting out there waiting to unload. If you could develop some of that Port Lavaca way, it's a 30-minute drive from there to Victoria where you could then distribute it. I mean, your turnaround on some of these containers could be
the ability to be
way quicker.
A backup and an overflow as a transportation hub for the Port of Corpus Christi could be a huge boon to this area. Can you imagine if regionally, you truck stuff from Port Lavaca through the I-69 corridor right through Victoria, Texas, then you've got your Buc-ee's and your Cracker Barrel out there on the interstate, instead of just a bunch of old, oil field shacks.
No, we have great potential.
Absolutely.
And we just need to capitalize on it and really come together. The issue is, how does Victoria Sales Tax Development really spend its tax dollars in Calhoun? But can we not share ideas on how we're set up and how we're doing things and make sure they have the same economic tools in their toolbox?
Right.
And we can co-market projects together, stuff like that. And I know VDC already does that to some extent. It talks about the deep water port and shallow water port and airport all combined. So,
what do you think, Ash? The Wade and Carter Multi-County Economic Development Corp. We get a couple $100,000 from Victoria, a couple $100,000 from Calhoun, a couple $100,000 from Jackson,
And then we leave town.
Sure. Then we have meetings.
We go to some country without extradition.
We have meetings in
Agreements.
Phoenix at True North.
I'm kidding.
Tell
Let's take a break and come back because
Okay.
Got to break in.
Okay, we do, and we're very fortunate to do it. Folks, Terry Murray at Motto Mortgage, she can help you balance your budget. Dial 541-5454. Terry will help you get your mortgage payment down. You've got the components, right? You've got your taxes, you've got your insurance, you've got your payment. Well, if she can take down your interest rate, your payment portion goes down. So reach out to her today. Went Services, went for electrical, plumbing, generators, solar panels,
Wind generation, they can do it all.
new
Wind
remodel, commercial, residential, they do it all. Call
Industrial.
Went Services for everything. USA Concrete Coatings wishing a belated happy birthday. We do that belated for our sponsors. Belated happy birthday yesterday to Charlie Garcia, 578 Home. Charlie will come out and put a tough as nails polyurethane coat all over downtown Victoria. It would be the cleanest antimicrobial, antibacterial seat flooring on the planet. They do a great job. Go to the USA Foundation, USA Concrete Coatings page on Facebook.
Yeah. See the
And
before
check
and
it out.
afters.
Tell us this. Any big differences? We're here with Mayor Jeff Balknight. For those of you, we get told sometimes that we
We
don't.
don't introduce our
Yeah,
guests or reintroduce our guests.
Everybody that's listening, that's looking at you, they know that you're Mayor Jeff Balknight. But for those of you on radio, we're
Or for those of you in Italy, you may not know.
right and
Canada,
right.
Denver.
Yeah.
Merci.
Australia.
Any really, besides the fact that I know now you actually read the packet, any big differences between being a vote as a council member and a vote as the mayor? Are you feeling, besides the responsibility of the big chair, do you feel anything different about your role?
A couple of differences. Every Tuesday I sit down with Mr. Garza. I'll go this morning, and we go through the agenda. And if it's an off week like this week, we'll still talk about what might be on the agenda next week. We talk through the issues. So when I get to council meeting, it's like I've almost already done it once.
Right.
That's different. So it's not fresh and new to me. And then the other thing is just trying to facilitate the conversation more, as opposed to just interjecting myself in the conversation, but facilitating it and making sure we get through the meeting on a proper clip.
Isn't your job just at the end of all the discussion to go no, or say, let's table that, we'll come back, we'll circle back.
Or call the question.
Right.
It's not a
Right.
moment, no, we
Right.
don't circle back.
We don't circle back.
Boy, there's a term that
You're starting to hear
can't
that
be
a
over
lot,
with.
and people use it. Well, we'll circle back to that. I'm like, really? Do we have to?
No,
Let's
we're
not
gonna
circle
take care
back.
of it. If it's in front of us, we're gonna take care of it.
Right.
But I will commend you all on not doing that with the proposed pet ordinance. You got some feedback, and I don't know that previous administrations might not have just tried to plow forward with this thing.
Yeah,
In
we give
spite
you
of the
props for that.
feedback.
That was wise
I'm
move.
taking it as, it's no different than the state legislature. If you ever watch the House of Representatives in Austin, it's very similar. So that was our first reading on the House floors, just a quick reading, and then they send it off to committee to go get work done. We did nothing different than listen to the first reading, vote on it, send it out. I know we don't typically do community forums on all items, but this one definitely warranted it. And after looking at it, we don't have such thing as a committee substitute to come back. So that's why we decided let's just throw the whole thing out and let's take that feedback and work on it.
Well, you guys had the foresight to do that, but I think the result showed that you acted wisely, because we weren't even quite as prepared for it. You had the adoption folks, and you had the pet owners' rights folks, and you had the breeders' opinion, and to gather valuable data from all of those folks, really, I don't know. I'm not being a smart aleck. I don't know how often you actually get to listen to the show live, but I think we were consistent in giving the city as a whole props for going that direction, because I think it really did radiate that y'all's program is about trying to do what's right for the city.
Well, I appreciate that. I do listen quite often, and I appreciate the props for it. But also, the people that responded all did so in a respectful and positive manner.
Yeah.
And they should be getting props for that too.
Right, amen.
That's how the interaction works, is everybody's respectful. And I've talked about this in my address to the chamber a couple weeks ago. That's what's great about Victoria, is we can disagree about something, but we can do it respectfully, and we can work together to come to something that's better.
Well, it's strength through power. I mean, I think it's important that when you walk in your robe with the epaulets and you sit
Powder
down
and wig.
and you put the AR-15 up on the dais, I mean, I think it means a lot to people to know that if they get out of line, that you will cap them right there in chamber council.
And if that doesn't do it, he just pulls back that robe a little bit and throws that belt of grenades that he can show off.
And Thomas Goose says, we'll read that and then decide on any action.
So how did that ordinance finally turn out, or do you know all the
We had
details
a
yet?
city workshop on Friday where we went through, kind of boiled down what the comments were at the community forum as well as the online survey. On the online survey, there were over 2,100 individually typed responses, so it took a little while to get through.
I apologize for that.
It's okay. We wanted all of them. And we have some recommendations that we all agreed upon. Some we didn't agree upon with the city attorney and said, no, we don't want to do that. And so he'll be bringing, I think, the second week or second meeting in October, the first reading.
Okay.
And so we'll read it then. We'll want citizens to take a look at it. I'm trying to get it where it will be posted on the website prior to even the meetings posting so that everybody has a chance to look at it and see what everybody's hard work has, come up with.
If we could just get other factions of the city as passionate about improving other areas as we did the pet ordinance,
Well,
the city could move forward in leaps and bounds.
and here's one, BJ Nelson, this is kind of off your radar, but worth sharing with you. She said, Brent, we need to tear down the old gas station on the north side of 59 near Inez. That's it, right there at Midway Road, the one that used to be called the Midway stop on the left. She said, can we get white trash site services out there to tear that down? I think you'll be surprised, BJ, and I'll announce here that we've one of our sponsors is the law office of Steve Kidder. And Steve Kidder and I, if nothing else other than symbolically, we're going to sue them. Steve and I are going to sue them for some kind of it's his deal. It's how Steve Kidder can help you stay out of trouble if you're in trouble or help somebody else do what you want them to do by legal means. We're going to file a lawsuit about their nuisance out there. And we'll have more on that as that comes along. But that's my gift to the county is that I'll be the lead protagonist on that deal. Torrin Bales asked, when do you, and I don't know why we think that the mayor is our guy, but maybe he knows this. He says, when do you think the shopping center that's supposed to be under construction next to Home Depot, any idea when they're going to start doing that? January? He just made that up. He did it with such authority. January. And then later on he'll say that was Tourette's. I didn't know. Did I say that?
We're getting ready to put the contract out for bid to move the off ramp back some to facilitate the entrances to that. And they're going to break ground in January. It should be ready in about 14 to 15 months. So it'll miss Christmas of next year. But February, March of 23.
Now, BJ Nelson wants a Luann platter and says, is there still a Luby's in the mix? Hasn't Luby's had some corporate turmoil that may preclude them from developing?
The only Luby's that was in the mix was planned for in front of Home Depot, and a combination of Luby's and Fuddruckers, which would have been fantastic. I think Luby's has since filed for bankruptcy protection, and that project went nowhere.
It makes you wonder, we're really excited for the new dairy treat that's going to be right there at the corner, right there at Parkways, where I have to give them props. They had the land and sold it to the loggers. But I keep saying that in that corridor on John Stockbauer. Now, Dairy Treat solves the issue that we've had for years that there's not a Dairy Queen north of UHV.
Right.
But can you imagine if you had that little coffee shop where the older folks could go and some type of a chicken joint? It could be Bach Knight's wings, right there.
Bach Knight's birds.
Right. And then next to that.
So now you're promoting fast food.
But I don't, yeah. I think there's a place, I'm not calling for a Taco Bueno. I mean, of course, don't forget Veracruz is one of our sponsors. And why get fast food when you can have fresh food? But at the same time, that area, there are some opportunities there where I don't think you have to have a big franchise name. I mean, I really think no exaggeration, you could have Mrs. Bach Knight's biscuits and people would go, well, it's like a Cracker Barrel. And the next thing you know, it'd be packed. If you could get a slab of ham, 2 eggs over easy, and some crispy bacon.
Well, that corner going under a big transformation, that whole area.
Yes, sir.
You have the South Texas Children's Home Ministry building going right next to them, and then
Yep.
there's a small shopping center with about 6 tenant locations.
And is there a meat market going in there too? And another one on Navarro?
Yes. And then, I don't know if you paid attention to the Dodge dealership, but
It's big.
that's really transformed that.
Yeah.
It makes it looks official.
And I don't. This is an unsolicited problem. Obviously, Atzenhower is a sponsor, and they are the world class. They are Victoria's car dealership. But I have to give props to Mr. Ben Keating. I think he builds a fantastic product, and I mean his property looks beautiful. It's always neat and clean, and I mean to that end, we're very fortunate to have a visionary like Ben Keating living in our community.
With some of that area too, we're learning through our drainage master plan update that we just got a presentation on with $273 million worth of drainage projects. There's some pieces of property people might look at as they drive through town and say, well, why didn't someone build there? And it's because the natural drainage in that entire area has been compromised through the years. And we're going to have to go in and fix some of those things to make some of those infill projects, possible.
You just get ash. You do a ditch witch and some gravel. He'll make the coolest little French drain. It'll work perfect.
That'd be great.
It'll be great.
Until it has to tie into the existing drainage infrastructure that cannot handle the extra load. Then we're in trouble, or the extra volume. Ricky King says, can we put in an ordinance to stop the begging and homeless people in the corners of Navarro and the Loop? What can be done about that problem?
On the homelessness?
Well, the begging and the panhandling.
Well, unfortunately, until we can figure out the free speech aspect of it, it can't be dealt with. But it is illegal to step into the street and do it. So I would say,
couldn't we address it with a loitering bylaw?
I think we could maybe
Public nuisance, endangering, I don't know, safety issue.
But this is expending police resources on
Right.
that, where if the guy or gal steps into the street to collect money from a window, needs a ticket.
Right, and he's not going to pay the ticket. He's
Yeah.
not going to show up for court. And what are you going to do? Incarcerate him? Then he's not homeless anymore. He's a ward of the state.
Most of the time after they undergo the mental evaluation, they're not allowed to be held anyway. So it's just the resources wasted on getting somebody off the street and trying to find some help for them, where they end up getting released and not wanting help themselves is difficult.
Give them a free certificate.
I contend, though, that's a small faction of it. The folks that get trucked in from Houston every day,
Oh,
and you see them. I mean, I see them every morning unloading by the Wendy's on the Houston Highway to go spread out and fan out along the Houston Highway. These aren't homeless folks with mental health issues. These are folks that are coordinating their efforts to take money
paid by the
from
hour to
suckers who
collect
give it to them.
Yeah.
Ms. Scott has had a plan. I thought we had approved it, but I haven't seen it, just to come up with, please don't, donate here on the corner.
Right.
Please donate to the local charities that serve the population, and stop, the handouts on the corners, and get the donations sent to, Christ Kitchen or.
Scott Tomko has a point, though. If you can
good
drag your darn drink and bag of food to the median or the corner, haul it back and put it in a trash can.
So that's a good
It's starting
idea.
to look terrible.
Do it like
And now there's an encampment underneath the loop at 87 and the North Loop.
Well,
I mean,
do
there's
it like
stuff there
Adopt a
all
Block.
night now.
Is there?
Oh yeah, there's a couple folding chairs. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Right
do-
there,
Clean that up
right there,
before
just
and
by
gotten them out of the Navarro,
Yeah.
area.
just right there in front of Detour North. They're a couple of folding chairs and a whole bunch of stuff sitting there.
But
The other
that's
day.
a great idea, and I'm not suggesting Trish specifically, but Christ Kitchen adopt an intersection where they could have volunteers go out and clean it up once a month,
Kelly Fromm
and
says they
it-
served over 900 people yesterday.
and in exchange for that, you give donations to Christ Kitchen instead of giving donations to the panhandler on the corner who's creating the trash.
Yes.
I like that idea. That's just a conscious choice. If you put the breadcrumbs out every day, the birds are going to come, and if you don't, they'll go somewhere where the breadcrumbs are.
Could we not assess the value of those places the panhandlers stand and then tax them?
What are you going to do? Put them in jail? Yeah, I like where your head's at.
I mean, they're making income. It's cash unreportable.
But it's on. public
I
property.
understand that. I'm just being facetious.
One quick second. Don't forget White Trash Services, White Trash Site Services, BJ Nelson, and Active Park. What did she say right there?
She said we could tax the panhandlers, so she's thinking the way I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
550-1826. Somebody that's going to treat you fair, treat you right. You call BJ Nelson and get her team out there with a roll-off dumpster for your next big project. They'll take care of you. We've talked about Razor IT Solutions for years. John Paul Hull and his team can help you with
Almost
your
5.
analytics. Yeah, he's been a great sponsor forever. He took a little blip there. I don't blame him. You look back and go, hey, we have Razor IT Solutions can help you with your analytics, with your data, with encryption, with helping you protect your website. That's what he does. And then, of course, the Complete 360 and the Health Bar, part of Jeff Bachknight's Get Fit program, right here on Red River. You've got paninis, smoothies, supplements, wraps, bowls. They've got it all. Waffles.
My daughter brought me a waffle last week.
Did she?
And it was excellent.
It is, right? Did you get, it was infused with like fruit and then they're
She had a strawberry one.
phenomenal. Yeah, she wants a new car before she goes off to college. But I'm not cynical.
Get some tires today. That's
There
all.
you go. There you go. Well, hey, Mayor, seriously, always thank you for coming in.
Thank y'all for having the
Appreciate
forum.
it.
It's awesome. No, I think you're doing a great job. I'm always a little pensive about when things seem to be going smoothly, but I think communication is the key. And I see the relationship between the county now and the city, and on a personal level, you and Judge Zeller. I see the relationship that or the atmosphere that I think is fostered by Jesus Garza. And not, I like to have fun with it, but not picking on prior administrations, just saying that where we are now, the combination of personalities. I've heard you say it, that you love the council. You think that to a person, you said, hey, everybody there has a role, and people seem comfortable and understand their role. I think that is how you get things done.
I think everybody's on my equal footing. And I really, really enjoy that. Everybody's opinion, comments are valued and taken with seriousness, and doesn't mean you have to agree with them, and it's done respectfully, and we come together as a group and make a decision and go to the next one.
There you go.
It's nothing personal.
I think it's a great time. It's a great time to be in Victoria, and it's as seen by the pet ordinance. It's a great time to be heard in Victoria. If you have a comment, you want to go down next Tuesday to city council. There's a community forum. It's early in the deal. You don't have to stay. You can get up, say what you want to say, ask the question you want, get your answer or a commitment to an answer, and you can leave. It does not offend them at all that you don't stay for the entire meeting. And you're welcome to go and have your opinion heard. So, Mayor, thank you as
Appreciate
always.
it, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you all.
And as we promised, your team, we will not talk about the A&M and Arkansas game.
Oh, thank you.
Have a great week, sir.
Bye, folks.
Bye bye.
Assumes no responsibility for its actions in the waiting.
Oh.